click. Yeah, clicked in.
Okay.
I just buckled into the pod, Pete. You buckled
With
in,
your-
baby.
With your Jesus lighting, I was just referencing. So good. All right, beaming down from some mysterious planet.
I'm joining you from the event horizon of a black hole right now. Just don't mind me if I'm warping through space-time a bit as the pod goes on.
It's pretty heavenly. I feel like this is when you can drop some wisdom on us.
Oh, that's all I got.
Hey, well, speaking of I don't know, random incidences, what if we kind of like ramble our way through a couple of news items happening? Because we haven't like touched in on the news in a while. And I just keep seeing nonstop Jeffrey Epstein takes today because Trump and his team said that there is no Epstein list after they all, including like Pam Bondi and all of them, have been like, the list is right in front of me. It's right here. And then like they're like, never mind, there is no list. It's like, okay.
Wait,
and also
list?
and Elon is
What's that
sticking
list?
to where's the list? Elon is sticking to his guns about Trump is on the list. And now today he also said that Steve Bannon is on the list. The list that also we're hearing doesn't exist. It's all very like strange and bizarre.
Political party. Word on
I want to talk about that too. I want to talk about that. Maybe we'll hold off on that till for a minute. But yeah, give me your. I know, Devon, you have some team takes that you have to. So
What's up with that? I have been working so gosh darn hard as a carpenter and getting prepped for the single that I'm about to release. But then I am always a bit shocked by how newsified. Maybe it's me, but maybe it's everybody, because still, like you were saying, like, oh, it just feels like there's so much Epstein stuff in the news right now. It does just kind of percolate. It does kind of osmose through whatever my like membrane is into my consciousness somehow. So yeah, I've seen so as a headline skimmer myself, so but something of a political scientist, really. Did Trump say something? Did he say something to the effect of, or like what's the kerfluffle?
So the top level headline is that they're all just saying now that there is no Epstein list.
Together all at once, not suspicious.
Yeah, that's just now the latest news out of the White House. But also, let me perhaps play a little clip here. So this is the clip that people are sharing because Trump is just trying so desperately to keep himself away from this story. You can just kind of tell, right? Like that's kind of what's happening here. But yeah, this is a clip. It's not that exciting, but I'll play it because this is a clip that's trending right now.
Let's see it.
Could I just interrupt for a second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talking about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Could I just interrupt for a second?
I mean, not that exciting, but that's what everyone's sharing. Has been like, he's clearly trying to not engage with this topic, and like now he's saying like, how dare you even talk about this? Which, like, he's right. There's more important stuff going on, but at the same time, it's kind of like no one's gonna be happy about this topic until we see something or something, right? Eventually, more of the story is absolutely going to crack open at some point in time.
I mean, did he just...
I don't know what I think, but
like, I don't know either. I mean, Diddy just got off, right? I feel like, I think for a second there, like, Epstein gets caught, Diddy gets caught, everybody's embroiled, R. Kelly's already behind bars. We've got the perverts on the run, Pete.
I have to share one more thing. Oh, this is too good not to share. Let me see if I can find it. Another thing that is just okay. So Steve Bannon has his hot take. It took him a minute, but
here's the real hot take. Perverts are sneaky. That's why they have to be. they're perverts. They're hard to catch. Like, what the fuck, man? We can't get them dead to rights. These damn slippery perverts. They're ruining our society, Peter.
Damn, I'm not finding the thing.
What are you looking
Shit.
for?
I'm looking for Steve Bannon's take.
He's
Steve Bannon had a take. I can probably remember it from memory. It was something to the fact of like, Trump is now using the Epstein files in order to blackmail the deep state to get what Trump wants.
Oh, wow.
So like there is a list,
Yeah.
but Trump is now keeping it secret so that he can use it as blackmail against the deep state. That was his Steve Bannon's take. But you know, he has that take shortly after Elon Musk's tweeted Bannon is in the Epstein files. So it's all very convenient for everybody. I mean, I truly don't know how conspiratorial to get about any of this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, don't we all kind of know that Jeffrey Epstein did keep a list of everyone who was on his island and probably has some details about what they all did? Like, why wouldn't he, or something or how is his lore so all pervasive if that's just not true? It has to be true. I feel like that's right.
True. It has to be true. I think as you know, if you want to pick your kind of flavor du jour of the conspiracies around this, I could go for Mossad flavor. Or possibly CIA Mossad joint operation to get, you know, intel on these famous people and blackmail them. That seems plausible to me. You do have to give it to Trump if he is holding down this list and pinning people to the wall with it. That is so that is so central casting Bond villain that it's almost like he is the main character.
Well, we're living in this world where none of the people who run our government or are involved, you know, just like in stories like this at some level, none of them are believable. They're all pathological liars. Yeah. So even like right now, the key question is, who do you believe, Elon Musk or Donald Trump?
What? Why? What? But it's Brondo, man. It's President Brondo, man. It is an app. It's just the silliest. This is actually kind of like becoming sillier than like an Idiocracy style, you know, like farcical skit or something like this, because there's kind of elements of tragic comedy to it too, where there's a darkness at play with all of it, where it's like, yeah, the theatrical part of it that most Americans digest, it doesn't kind of hit everybody en masse how incisive it can be to an individual. You know, take someone's freedom or their life away or their livelihood, or, you know, something disappears in the blink of an eye and nobody's paying attention to it. But like, you know, writ large, everybody's looking at the president and thinking, boy, this is an interesting little show that this clown is putting on, and all of his little clown advisors. It's pretty wild shit.
Should we pivot to Elon Musk announcing his new third party, the America Party? This also is just, it seems like another entertainment-based phenomenon, kind of like what you're just saying, how it just seems that this is created out of such bad faith, where he's doing it just for spite, right, just to stick it to Trump,
right,
and just as an excuse to still like pretend like he has some power in the government or something.
Tactically a little late too, because like I think pre-Chainsaw he would have had enough credence and enough credibility to potentially start a party, and people would have been like, oh, okay, you know, maybe. But post-Chainsaw, we all know he's a ketamine-addled dipshit. You know what I mean? Like, not dipshit really, because he's obviously like one of the smartest, technically smartest people, but like, to put, you know, politics is a social phenomenon. more than anything else. Maybe you can be quantitative about it or whatever, but this dude doesn't even have basic instincts, let alone political instincts. He would if he's really serious about it, he's going to tank it quick by doing something childish and adolescent, like he has with all of the other public facing shit that he's done recently.
Can I be a normie lame lib for a sec and read you a normie lib tweet?
Sure.
I think that it's I don't know, it's normie and lib and all that cringe worthiness, but I do actually feel this way. This like articulated a way that I feel. Hold on, I got it here. So let's pull this up. So this is someone on Twitter, Bill Madden. I'm not going to look up who it is, just because in case he's even more cringe than I'm scared him to be. I'm worried that he is. Let me read this guy's tweet. Regarding Elon Musk's America Party, perhaps if Musk had never backed dictator wannabe Trump, never supported the fascist authoritarian takeover of American democracy, never promoted far-right conspiracies and disinformation, never gave a Sieg Heil Nazi salute at Trump's inauguration, never backed Germany's fascist far-right AfD party, and never called Social Security a Ponzi scheme. If all these things Elon Musk did never happened, perhaps then I'd have an interest in his America Party. But given the fact that Musk actually did all of these repulsive things, to pretend that his America Party is somehow centrist is fucking laughable. That actually is kind of like an articulation of what you just said, of like pre him with the chainsaw, which is all this shit, right? This like list of naughty, no bad things. He was like, actually, just like you said, like people could take it more seriously. And now, even if you cringe at some of this stuff or whatever, because it's so like normally lib coded, like it's true. Like Musk has ruined his reputation or his credibility in terms of someone who means well for the like American politics. Like, dude, his credibility is fucked.
It began in the public eye with Twitter because I think it became painfully obvious to everyone as soon as he was in control of something that had a pronounced social dimension to it, that he was just immediately out of his depth. And it makes sense to me. I mean, I just saw this interview recently with somebody that I guess kind of knew him or was trying to kind of quantify his way of being, and they were like, he's 100% signal, 0% noise. So anything that creates noise or static in his focus of the things that he wants to achieve that day, they just get ruthlessly wiped off the board. And like, you just can't be that ruthless or that binary when it comes to the nuances of getting people into coalitions and believing in you. Like, I think you learn the lesson the hard way, which is that you can get a bunch of people on your side once. That's why most people can do a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe and they can make 10, 20, 30. Try to do that every 3 months. Try to do that every year. Try to do that every 4 years. Like, you've got to be a pretty compelling person in many, many different dimensions, especially socially, to get people on board with your shit. And like, as much as you hate Trump, he just does have a couple key dimensions of sociability that people really can relate to and gravitate towards, and yeah, I mean, what are you going to say? Elon just doesn't have any of that stuff, and he's made an ass of himself. So, I mean, good luck, my friend. But unless he builds a coalition of really, really talented political operators and gets a lot of support from famous politicians already, which he won't, I don't think that.
I mean, one thing is that like I have Musk's tweet pulled up here where he says, when it comes to bankrupting our country with waste and graft, we live in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom. I mean, that is gross and cringe, except for the fact that he's kind of right about how both the Republicans and the Democrats are happy to explode the deficit, even when they both say they're not going to. Republicans, I think, are way worse at this than Democrats, because yes, Democrats explode the budget, but like that tends to be things that like benefit like the average person, whereas Republicans just want to give their tax breaks to the wealthy, and they want to take away food stamps, and they want to take away now like Medicaid for like a ton of people, and they want to add like a bunch of paperwork to getting Medicaid. Yeah. So
it's so confusing. It's like, why? How is it that, we gotta, I guess to be alive this long starts to be a gift in some ways, because it's like, well, I remember a time back when we knew the Republicans were evil sons of bitches that were just shoveling money to defense contractors. We didn't have to guess about that or wonder what their motives were. It was pretty clear to everybody.
Yeah. And then Trump made it like, I'm the anti-war president, even though like that's just not true. But maybe one more thing here that I want to just point out is that somebody in the comment section here said, I asked Grok for an analysis of the American Party, and Grok said what I think is probably actually true, that Elon could use this sort of a thing to really challenge some Republicans in the midterm and totally shake up the midterms in 2026. And that's true because all Musk would have to do is get just a couple of noxious Republicans kicked out of their Senate seats, and then the whole dynamic of Congress will change. And then all like the shitty bills that would have just passed, just like 2 or 3 more guys switched out, those things wouldn't have passed, right? So he could probably change the dynamics of the Senate.
He's got to, because here's the deal. Here's that nobody's doing right now is, if he made it the Americans, like, I think that there's no platform that's even talking about it still, which is so the gerontocracy that we live in never ceases to amaze me.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think he could get some traction with futurists, with people that are kind of like, anybody that sees the way and the way that AI is spreading through society and through the world, and how quickly it is and how fast it's going to change our lives. Like, if he could make a party that, really fixated on that, and get people like Andrew Yang and potentially Zoltan Istvan, or other people that are kind of aligned with, I don't know, some kind of technocratic government structure, I bet you that actually could be a great little spoiler party, kind of maybe for both parties, to be honest with you. They're not going to win, but could take enough votes away from people who are tapped into what's going to happen next.
Can I say one more thing about Elon before we move on? I just watched or listened to a podcast with Nicholas Christakis. Is that his name?
Uh-huh.
Who he kind of like followed up on this idea that when Elon Musk disbanded USAID, it caused, people are saying these numbers like hundreds of thousands of people are going to die, like this sort of a thing. Yeah. He was like, okay, let's see what's actually like happening on the ground. Like, is this true, or is this just like people are just throwing numbers out? So dude goes to Sudan and a couple of other countries in Africa, and he documents the most horrific, like sad shit I've like ever heard in my entire life that is directly like as the result of Elon Musk's actions. Can I give you just like one or two of the things that I learned in this podcast?
Holy shit. Yeah, buddy.
I hadn't heard anywhere else. And this just like, oh my God, it was so heartbreaking shit. Whoa. So like one thing was that like there was this woman in some town in Africa who was about to give birth. And so she needed like an ambulance to come get her because she was like bleeding profusely. Yeah. And so they call the hospital, and the hospital's like, okay, cool. Like, we have an ambulance here, but we don't have gas for the ambulance because the gas was paid for by USAID. That funding stopped. So we literally can't buy gas. So, hey, like, send us some money and we can get gas and we can come pick her up. Nobody had any money to send them. And so like 6 dudes from this village put her on the stretcher and ran her to the hospital, and she died on the way.
Holy shit.
That was one story. And there were a bunch of anecdotes exactly that tragic and that just stupid, where like we were building facilities, or we had helped contribute to facilities, but like the money got cut off right before the roof could get put on. And so the roof wasn't put on. So like, oh, some new hospital never got built, like shit like that. And also, there's maybe one more anecdote that also just like kind of like super silly is that there's all these people that they get like river blindness in Africa, and it's this like very easy thing to cure. It's actually with ivermectin cures it. And there's like all this ivermectin in a warehouse waiting to be shipped out to these people. But because USAID fell apart, it's just like sitting and rotting in a warehouse. And so people are going blind, will never get their eyesight back because of this. And like, these are just a couple of anecdotes. I mean, the guy went on and on and on and on, and he was there and like witnessed this shit. And to hear that, it is so unbelievably tragic. And it does actually make you realize what an actual impact we make on the world and in people's day-to-day lives. And man, it's like profound. And like Elon Musk had to knowing nothing about government or what USAID did, he had to come and dismantle it. And like now the fallout is like, man, it's like nightmarish. So yeah, I don't know.
It's so frustrating to see. It's so frustrating the way that the Republican Party propagandizes its base. I mean, not to speak of the Democratic Party and the way that it propagandizes its base, but like the Republican Party is really good at convincing people that these teeny little entitlements around the edges, and they'll say, and they'll throw you like, you know, when they tell you the story, they'll throw you out a number that feels big because it sounds big. Hundreds of millions of dollars are going to this and going to that, and we gotta stop doing this and stop doing that. I'm like, man, it's so brutal to watch humans be trained to go, yeah, fuck those other humans, but like all this other stuff, and all these other like bureaucratic structures and all of these kind of ideological, you know, frameworks, those are the things that are really important to me. But these people that are suffering, we can't afford to fucking send them free. So I'm like, man, how far we've fallen in the last 50 to 60 years, because how many of our, you know, neo-imperial endeavors over the last 50 years were really kind of attempts at, I mean, at least philosophically attempts at helping a different part of the world achieve the type of wealth and stability that we have. I mean, that's the charitable way. There's obviously a much more cynical way to look at it, but at least that was what, at least that was the fig leaf that was used to cover the ass. You know what I mean? That we had this greater moral objective in the world, that by becoming this extraordinarily powerful nation, extraordinarily wealthy nation, that we were proud to help people in other countries overcome the basic hurdles of poverty, like having antibiotics, the things that we as the industrial world have promised the industrializing in the third world that we were going to help with, and have broadly come through on a lot of that stuff. And to have the Republican Party go, yeah, you know, you can't afford to give these African people ivermectin. You can't afford to, you know, old people, we got to reduce Medicaid and reduce Social Security because of spending. I'm like, come on, guys, money's not real. Not at that scale, right? It's just a conceptual.
It's also just, yeah, it's also just all talk, because I was reading about the Medicaid situation where they want to like have job requirements. Sounds like a great idea. And I see all these Republicans online being like, this is a no-brainer, guys. What are you talking about? Like, of course we should have job requirements. But then like you look into the details of it, and there are numbers about like how many people quote unquote cheat the system. And it's like hardly anybody. And then you realize that, and there's a ton of data on this, that when you do have job requirements, like people have to spend all this time doing paperwork.
Right.
And that means we have to hire more people in the government to build the websites, to process the paperwork, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there's this huge like overhead involved. And I think it's Georgia already has work requirements for something like this. And this article I was reading in the Atlantic walked through like how much money that costs. And they just don't save any money because it costs so much to have this infrastructure of all the paperwork and the websites that need to be maintained to process all of this shit. And then people just like fill out something wrong on a form, and then they die because they can't go to the doctor. And also, one more great point about that was that no one can eat their social security card. It's not food. It's not a vacation. It's nothing fun. It's like no one enjoys going to the doctor, right? So like the incentive to cheat on this, it's just not there. Like people like to get a job so that they can eat and live and go on vacation. No one just like doesn't work so that they can have their Medicaid card. That's just not how that works. It's like insane. Devon, we got to do a hard pivot because we're doing too much heavy shit. And I got to get out of here pretty soon. So let's, I got two more little things. This is maybe a fun one. I want you to listen to this. It's a Malcolm Gladwell clip. And then I want to get your take on this. Maybe like I'll headline it by saying I thought that this was dumb as hell, but I also thoroughly enjoyed it. So let me play this for you.
Malcolm, friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
Driverless cars in an urban setting don't work because they work too well, right? So what we went to Phoenix where they had Waymo, and I had my producer get in the Waymo, and I ran alongside the Waymo, and I would cut the Waymo off, and the Waymo, of course, because it's got like 58 sensors, would stop instantly, right? And then I would run circles around the Waymo, and the Waymo would sit there patiently waiting for me to get out of the way. And I realized if every car on the road is a driverless car, then there is no penalty whatsoever to pedestrians misbehaving. If you're a kid, why don't 11-year-old boys play soccer on the streets on 42nd Street in Manhattan? Because they're going to get hit by a car and killed. But if every car is a Waymo, they're all going to stop and they're going to wait there for hours until you finish their game. The Waymo so the whole point of deterrence, the reason deterrence with human drivers work is that the driver will make a mistake and kill you inadvertently. Waymo will not make a mistake. People are always saying the problem with driverless cars is they'll make mistakes. No. They don't make mistakes, and that's the problem.
Maybe cook that one a little longer, Malcolm.
Very well said. My take on this, I enjoyed it because it's kind of funny, and someone needs to say this so that we can talk about it at some level. But yeah, my take about this is like any aspect of society could be thwarted like this because there's so many like degrees of freedom that anybody has. You take anything and you can do this at any time, anywhere. This is how teenagers have fun, is they find little situations like this and they run around the Waymo and like this is, but then you grow the fuck up and you just don't do that anymore. Also you just you at some point you penalize people for doing this. So if it does become a problem, you don't just like, oh, this is broken now and now let's throw out the whole driverless car idea. No, you like you tweak it. You have people monitor it. You know what I mean? Like there's shit you can do, and so many levels. This is not like, oh, we can't do driverless cars anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's so stupid. Give me your hot take on this.
I find it charming and provincial that that Malcolm thinks that 11-year-olds are out like playing soccer in the street. Like in America? No, dude. They are definitely
I see what you're saying. They're all
inside, my friend. You feel me? That part I thought was cute. And then I don't know. I as a person with a lot of kind of like doctor and PhD friends, there is this special kind of hubris, this special flavor of hubris that like all specialists seem to catch. It's like a cold. It's like a seasonal cold where they'll be like, well, I do know a lot about this, so certainly the way that I'm thinking about it must be right. And I'm like, I find that I love the confidence. I love the certitude, you know.
Can I share something that actually just like springs to mind when I think about this? It's not entirely related, but this is to keep it light. I think this is pretty good.
Keep it light.
You might recognize this is a Jerry Seinfeld sketch, but this is pretty good.
So I go to the bathroom in the airport. What is the story on the sinks in airport bathrooms that they will not give us a twisted on, twisted off human style faucet? Is that too risky for the general population? Too dangerous. We better install the one-handed, spring-loaded, pain-in-the-ass Alcatraz-style faucets. You know those ones where you got to go, hey, boy, I got a little water there. Oh, another couple drops. What is it that they think we would do with a faucet? Turn them all on full, run out into the parking lot, laughing, pushing each other into the bushes? Come on, the water's on, let's go. I turned it on full blast. You idiot, we're businessmen. We're going to miss our plane. Who cares? Water!
I love it.
I feel like Gladwell should see that. He should watch that.
That definitely makes me feel old because I'm so sure that like none of my young friends would find that in any way funny.
True.
It's just
true.
It's just not dark enough. It's too lighthearted. It's too earnest.
That'd be a funny clip to play, like those old Seinfeld clips, to someone who was a like Gen Z and see what they think. My last pivot here, Devon. This is what I wanted to talk about today. This is the real meat of the conversation I wanted to get to. Just because this to me is like a topic that you and I genuinely, unironically talk about IRL. Yeah, this divide between which way Western man, or in this case, which way health freak, are we going to go with like the like crazy radical protein rich He-Man diet, or are we going to do like the science diet? You know what I mean? Like give me the fucking pills and injections versus give me the raw liver, which there is this like divide in the health community and also online and also in the way people orient their lives in like nature versus like science, you know? So I'm fascinated by this. And just to maybe explain this a little bit to people who may not be completely familiar, Bryan Johnson with an I is 48 years old and he is Liver King. He's famous for eating raw liver and like hella meat. And that's just like his thing, lifts weights. And I think he did a ton of steroids and probably drugs as well. And he looks old as fuck. He looks like he's 70 here. And then there is Bryan,
right. Slytherin,
the son of Satan. Yeah, Bryan with a Y,
Slytherin
Johnson,
professor and Voldemort impersonator.
It's hilarious. Like this picture is fucking hilarious. Yeah, Bryan Johnson with a Y, 47 years old. And he looks about, you know, I'd put him at like 43. He definitely doesn't look like he's 20 or anything, but like, you know, looks way better than like Liver King over here. And yeah, let me throw this one to you and give me your takes on this.
There is just if women have resting bitch face, men must have like resting smug face. I feel like Lord Voldemort he's got like resting smug face. I think it's like anything else. First of all, lesson number one for you, ladies and gentlemen, from halfway up the mountain, you don't want to be a trailblazer.
Yeah.
High risk.
I'm glad they're here. I'm glad they're here for us, but yeah.
Me too. Burn bright, you crazy diamond man. But like, truly, like, you don't want to be one of the guys at the forefront of this. And I know I've said it, and I won't belabor the entire story about the oil and the spoon, but like, life is about balance, man. It's like, if you take a little bit of because they're both onto something, but they're both clearly not on to it. You know? And
I mean, Bryan with a Y, like, I don't know. I'm kind of a believer in his methodology. I'm kind of a believer in it.
I maybe it's being
we're just skeptical with him. My skepticism with Liver King is obvious.
Same.
Like, he's a druggie. And like, don't
like
that. Like, why he has his mugshot? Did you hear about this? He threatened Joe Rogan to like a fight and got. I guess he was very aggressive about it, and so he got arrested over that. And like, cops went to Joe Rogan's house.
Yeah,
it was a thing. So he's on drugs at some level, I think.
He went off the deep end. I saw a couple things of his antics before he got arrested. I think Bryan Johnson on the right. The thing with me is that I've seen a lot of interviews with this guy, and I think that there's some spark of life kind of missing from his, and maybe it's an affect, but you know, at some point the character becomes the man. And I think that he's got this kind of performance of like, I am this like longevity. And I just don't, nobody that's healthy is like that. You know, like that is like, that reads to me like trauma response. That reads to me like obsessive behavior around like a locus of, you know, emotional sadness, or I don't know. It doesn't, there's, both of these guys are totally out of balance with reality, and they've both figured a few things out by being trailblazers and being in the front. But at the end of the day, they're probably both going to die young because they're both being weirdos. And like, you got to,
I thought you were pro weirdo. What's going on?
no, I mean, I'm pro weirdo, but I'm not pro wacko. You know,
Can I give you
gotta keep it weird. Don't keep you, as soon as you go past weird, you're into wacko territory. Both of these boys are all they're cranking on the wackometer, man. Seriously.
So what you said about Bryan Johnson, hard to disagree with, but maybe like let me attempt to reframe it so that at least there, because you can look at his life, I think, in many different ways.
Yeah.
Some of which are like, whoa, psychological damage. There's another way to look at it, which is that he just did the thing that almost every like American kind of dreams of doing, which is merging your work with your hobbies. And so few of us get to do this. I mean, if I could merge my hobbies with my work, it would look like I'm working nonstop. I could do my hobbies nonstop. They just don't pay. Right?
Yeah.
So I could do them nonstop and it would look like I'm obsessively working, even though like I'm literally just having fun. So he might be the guy who just merged his work and play and made it work. And now he gets to make money off of that. Like that's my alternate framing. I see a little bit of that too, like insane obsessive workaholic versus like he's having fun and doing what he loves.
Yeah. Yeah, sure, man.
Not buying it. Huh?
He just doesn't give humanistic interviews. He seems like a fucking freak, dude.
Well, okay, I will say this. Like he definitely does have every affect of a stereotypical CEO founder, like Silicon Valley founder. But like compare him and his affect to Mark Zuckerberg. It's very similar, same alien type of thing, but Mark Zuckerberg is just being a tech titan. Bryan Johnson, same or very similar affect, not even as scary as Zuck, but like you just doing longevity thing. You know what I mean? Like,
it does get into, you know, and we don't have much time, but it does get into my kind of general cosmology of like life on Earth and things, which is that there is some there is some non-mechanical spark of life, some zest, some kind of shamanic sprinkling, you know what I mean? Really like some Hunter S. Thompson-ish, you know, energy that like does need to in some way inhabit a human form to give someone the power to be like, I don't know, powerful, have longevity, have powerful ideas, and not just kind of sink into the sludge of being like a trailblazer or weirdo or someone that's like an ultra fringe person. Those people, they'll make a lot of forward progress, but it's like a
oh, we might have lost Devon. We might have to call it there, folks. I have a hard stop in like 2 minutes for work anyway. So, hey, for anybody watching, thanks for joining. And yeah. Oh, Devon, are you back?
Am I back?
Hey, I was just doing a sign off for our non-existent audience here. But yeah, maybe I have to go in a couple minutes. Maybe wrap up that point, and I want to do like one last point, and then we'll
Jam
call
it
it
in.
Oh, you want me to go? Okay.
Yeah.
My hot take, and this is, I've said this before on the pod, sticking with it. I mean, I actually agree about your like trailblazers, like God bless them, but like I wouldn't recommend that for the masses. I'm so on board with that. I think that the greatest life advice is Aristotle's golden mean. Said it like thousands of years ago, still like the most true thing of all time. But why I like Bryan with a Y Johnson. Why I genuinely like him, and not that I follow him that closely or whatever, but it's just like the way he kind of like self-effacingly gives this advice with his like self-awarely cringe memes and things that he leans into like the cringe of the meme.
Yeah.
It makes me think about it all the time. And so like if I'm ever gonna like eat a treat I don't need, or like have an extra whiskey I just don't need, or whatever, or stay up an hour later than I would, even if I still go ahead and do those things, like he jumps into my mind and he's like, you don't really need to do that. You know what I mean? I see his like fucking face on the meme or whatever. And that's not a bad thing. It's like he is, he's like a Jesus figure where he's like, here's a path of health. And it's never extreme advice. It's never like, Peter, you should take like this bucket of pills. It's like, Peter, don't have a third whiskey. You know what I mean? It's always, and when he jumps into my mind, it's never bad advice. It's always good advice. So I don't know. And I bet that happens for me, probably happens for a lot of people. And he might be single-handedly responsible for, I don't know, a couple 100,000 people being healthy for a couple more years into their old age or whatever. You know what I mean? Oh, I appreciate that.
Bless his heart, Peter. And if either Bryan Johnson was my Jiminy Cricket, I would fucking kill myself.
Well, I know that you follow the health gurus too. You bring them up on a regular basis, so you have your own. Yeah, I know you do.
I know. I did for a while. I got a little in the weeds for me now. I think I learned what I need to know for now. Until my GPT is like taking my serum blood levels for all of my major shit and giving me reports. Like, I got it. I'll get in the sauna as much as I can. You know what I mean? And like when I can afford it, I'll get some NAD and stem cells. But you know,
yeah.
I'm gonna let these guys fuck with their telomeres on their own for now.
I don't think that any of this tweaking around the edges is ultimately going to matter if longevity science pays out. It is at some level, at some point, going to be an injection, a pill. It's not going to be a lifestyle change. I mean, for now, lifestyle changes are the best that we have for sure. But like, give us, I don't know, 20 years or whatever. Like, if this research pays off, it's going to be, I don't know, at 10 a.m. you take your resveratrol pill, or you know what I mean. Like, it's going to be. There's going to be a cocktail, and that probably, you know, if we're really going to make progress in longevity, it's not going to be a lifestyle change, obviously, because lifestyle changes have not kept anybody alive past 120. So
yeah, and we suck at that stuff.
Yeah, and we suck at that stuff. And donut shops are on every corner, and it's great.
That's right.
All right, man. I gotta sign off. Good chatting with you today.
You too, Pete. Lively, spirited as always, my friend.
As always. All right. Later.